Charlie Kirk had a recommended reading list. He talked about this a little bit, and I used to do book reviews on this channel. They weren't as popular, but I've realized that there's something I enjoy doing, and I also feel that I should ethically be adding value to my audience. One of the books Charlie Kirk enjoys is one that another one of my role models, Jordan Peterson, also enjoys. 4 years ago, I started a YouTube channel for a while, and I quit for a number of reasons. One of them was I didn't want to have adverse consequences at my job or have family members mad at me for speaking about my political beliefs. That's not something I'm really worried about anymore. But I do have a number of videos that I had on that channel that I kind of want to post on this one. And one of them is a book review of 1984. And I may do another more in-depth and updated one later on, but I found it really interesting and fun to watch. And for the month of October, I plan on doing one book review every week. Two of those books are books that Charlie Kirk was a big fan of. If you would like to see me continue this series, let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, share and subscribe. Stay tuned. That really helps me out a lot. So without further ado, here is my video from my channel that I made 4 years ago.
I'm going to be doing today's video a little bit different than normal. I started the series wanting to do book reviews on suggested reads from one of my biggest role models, Jordan Peterson. 1984 was on the list, which I'm still doing, but it's also extremely relevant to the political climate in 21st century America, and I wanted to comment on that as well. George Orwell, the author of the book, saw the West's attraction to the Stalinist form of government in Russia and wrote a series of books containing political satire and predictions, most famously 1984. In it is a government, a cult following of a mythical leader called Big Brother. Over time, this government began to control almost everything about a person's life, and logic was the enemy. In fact, the book contains a term called doublethink, in which it is not at all uncommon for someone to hold two totally contradicting views at the same time. Like today, where some people think that society is filled with powerful men who oppress everyone, a concept known as the patriarchy, while also believing that gender either doesn't exist or is interchangeable. Or people who believe the police are dangerous and evil, but are the only people who should carry guns. At one point in the book, the main character, Winston, sees a man who he says reminds him of a duck, just quacking out mantras of the party without even being mentally present. He could literally be replaced by somebody else. He had no original thought or concept of what he was saying. So many times, people just repeat the same mantras and slogans that millions of other people repeat, and it becomes very evident that they're not even mentally present. They're literally just a physical manifestation of their ideology. And they seek to interpret everything by that ideology, past, present, and future. In fact, in the book, there is a saying that those who control the past control the future. So there are even parts of government that destroy or erase parts of history that don't agree with their political cause. Rather, it's deplatforming TV shows or movies, or shredding children's books, or really any kind of other material that doesn't support a certain political narrative. It's all erased to fit the current problems occupying the minds of the masses. And since they control the past, they control the present and future. This reminds me of now. You'd think it'd be political leaders of the past that radical ideologues would target, but no, it's our childhood mascots. Dr. Seuss, Peter Pan, and Dumbo are the biggest threats facing humanity right now. They are the epitome of evil. Their stories have to be censored and shredded because they don't fit the political narrative being pushed by the radical left. In 1984, the main character reads a book about capitalists, which paints them as evil men who owned slaves and forcibly slept with every woman that they could. And because of all the stories that have been erased over time, the main character just has to accept it as true. He's not sure what's true or fantasy anymore. And he comes to the conclusion that what is true now is what has always been true, because there's no record of anything otherwise. It reminds me of a quote coined by one of the wickedest tyrants of all time. If you tell a lie big enough and keep on repeating it, eventually it will become the truth. There is another quote that illustrates the nature of things quite well when Winston meets Julia, his love interest. In the old days, he thought, a man looked at a girl's body and saw that it was desirable, and that was the end of the story. But you could not have pure love or pure lust nowadays. No emotion was pure because everything was mixed up with fear and hatred. This is so applicable to now. You have to keep up with the current trend to discover which phrases, gestures, and body language is or isn't sexist, racist, homophobic, or perpetuating a horrible culture, while denying that gender and societal constructs like it even exist. Many people nowadays are afraid to voice their opinions or even just talk for fear of being labeled as any one of the above names. 1984, as well as other dystopias I'd like to get into, such as A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, discuss the abolition of family and gender roles as well. Movements that push ideas like toxic masculinity and, as Black Lives Matter has stated, abolishing the nuclear family, they're pushing a very dangerous narrative, one that actually comes straight from Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. Marx believed that by dismissing the family system, individuals would be free to reach their full potential instead of being bound by the rules that were dictated by a family ecosystem. Communal living would take place of the family. There would be no need for monogamy, and the children would be raised collectively by the community. Instead of people or a subculture teaching and raising children, the state would take on the role of mother and father and instill in the hearts of their children its mantras. The same goes with abolishing religion and other social institutions, so that the people rely solely on the government. Does this sound far-fetched? Certainly not to the intellectuals. Karl Marx's communist ideals have led to the deaths of hundreds of millions of people. So the fact that abolishing the nuclear family is being proposed by people today is extremely alarming. I believe that the attack on gender roles and the denial of the existence of two genders is the start of the realization of this dream. If you can't even admit that there are gender roles, and it is offensive to assume what gender a person is, with even some people displaying their gender pronouns on social media, is it that far-fetched to assume that a typical gender role that someone would assume in a family will soon become offensive as well? Like sister, brother, mother, or father? Don't get me wrong. I don't believe that most blue-haired, brow-waving college students understand the consequences of attacking gender roles in the slightest, especially as it pertains to manifesto communism. They just want to appear caring and intellectually open-minded. Some radical leftists do believe that gender and even familial roles are a social construct to keep people submissive to a tyrannical institution, and the abolition of those roles would lead to a better society. This is scary, and it has consequences that I don't believe any of us fully understand. I guess my petition to you is to stand up, voice your opinion, and subscribe and share my content. If you want to keep up with my Jordan Peterson reading list, I do have a playlist on my channel, but I am going to recommit at a slower pace and pump out a book review once every 2 months. I'm actually going to be going back to school, and I'm going to be working on a lot of other content for you guys. And although I love the book reviews, they've just been taking up too much of my time. With everything going on, I can't keep posting them at their current pace. However, once again, if you enjoyed the content and want to stay tuned for more, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and like that video for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks again, and have a great day.